Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. So what have I been up to with my autumn piece? So this is Stitch the Season and it's autumn and I've just started, so there's only been one episode so far. So in the first episode I said that I wanted to get myself a piece of felt or wadding or a backing fabric, and I did. I went down to Spotlight, so Aussie Girls, this is Spotlight's product. It's probably available overseas. I'll just grab the artwork for it. And I've never used it before, and my mate, fellow YouTuber Tia, actually works at Spotlight. And I said to her, I'm here not only to say hello, but to also get some wadding and or felt. And I went to the section and felt it with my hand, and it just felt very stiff, not like the felt by the meter that I'd purchased before. And she said, well, come and have a look at this, because she's been using this and she's pretty happy with it. And I thought, well, what better recommendation? So this is the product. So I'm assuming you guys can get it in America because it's made over there. And I'm pretty impressed with it. Really good price, and the big thing, it is huge on the bolt. So I got, I think, a meter, and I think it's 1.8 wide. So it is, oh, there's a little bug flying around. What is that? Oh my goodness. I had all the doors open a minute ago doing a bit of cleaning, so I'd say I've just invited in every critter that you can think of. I'm just looking at this artwork to see if there's actually the size of it on the roll, but I'm guessing it's a generic print that they just run through the product, and this particular roll was, yeah, wide, very, very wide. Be fantastic if you were wanting some batting to go into a quilt. And I like the fact that it's cotton. So really, really happy with that. What will I tell you about next? What do I do next? Okay, the background. I've completed the stitching down of the background. If I bring it up to the camera, can you see all of those little stitches? It's like a grid system. So what I ended up doing, I think I talked this through a little bit in the last video, but didn't actually, proceed. I wanted a very gentle, nondescript background for this piece, because I have a feeling by the time I finish doing all these flowers, it'll look so, full on that the background I just wanted to disappear. And because I was racing around all day after that video doing chores, I quickly sat down and just drew all over the piece with a friction heat erasable pen, lots of lines, and just gridded it out, skipping, of course, where the flowers and the birds are. Then I got my Aurifil cotton, and I thought, what better way to test it? And I must say, it was really, really nice to use. And I, using a quilting stitch, just, running stitch, just went for it. And it was great because I just had this sitting here as I was doing chores or working with some tradesmen, and they didn't need me for 20 minutes. I just came straight back in here and just did some more rows. And I was actually quite surprised just how quickly I got it done. So I probably spent an hour and a half on it. Even at one point, Gaz rang for a chat and a catch up because he's up at the other house, and I just kept stitching while we were chatting, and suddenly I was finished. The birds. If you remember in the last video, I had a little blue edge around them because I was still unsure what I was going to do with the background. And being that the background is very neutral, as in staying that colour, the birds needed to be trimmed back some more. So I didn't end up needing to undo them because I just put a few invisible stitches in there. I was able just to pop that edge up, trim around, get rid of the blue fabric that they were on, bringing them back to just their edge. And then using my art glitter glue, I put a little drizzle on that edge to stop it fraying. So that's the main reason. This piece is going to get very handled as I embroider. So I like to use a little bit of art glitter glue, or you can use quilting glue, you know, those sticks. You could use this. The only thing I'll say about those other two products is because they're like a stick, you're dragging on your fabric and it can speed up the process of your edge breaking down. So that's why I really like art glitter glue. It's not the healthiest product to have in our war chest of tools, but if you're careful with it and don't get it on your fingers or immediately wash your fingers, it's, you know, the best we can expect. Okay, so where am I at now? I really need to think about colours. So I think I showed you this in a previous video. I took out of my collection of threads just a bit of a wash of the tones for the autumn piece, and everything else is packed. So if I can't find it in here, I'll have to sort of battle my way through. I do have my general, trying to reach over and grab it, my general DMC threads, and in there is the odd one to fill. So I'm not too concerned because, oh gosh, it was hard. I had boxes everywhere in my room and I was like, girl, you just need to cut it back and survive with what you've got. So I did, and I'm hoping I can sort of continue on filming without, you know, missing something. So what I'm going to start with, guys, it's definitely going to be floral, because the leaves might end up being a background thing, like just there, but we'll see how we go. I'm thinking we're going to have a play with one of these flowers. And these were the colours I grabbed out. And as you can see, I'm going to try a little bit of everything. And there's even a brown. And there's a two-tone Sue Spargo. These are Sue Spargo's threads. Whoops, don't roll. Then we've got some Appleton wool. We've got some no gum nut. No, it's all Appleton. So I'm hoping that'll give us, you know, a little bit of texture. So let's have a look. As I always say, the artist has done the hard work. If you want to get into thread painting, just follow the artist that has been before you, and you can't go too wrong. So I'm looking at the two oranges. Let me zoom in a little bit. And we'll set up a bit of a colour palette, and then I can toddle off and do a bit of stitching. Maybe. Okay, that's pretty good for that paler orange in there. But there is this darker orange. So it might be a combination of those two. The only way you're going to know is to have a little stitch and see what comes of it. I think I'll do long and short stitch at this stage, but I wouldn't mind. Now what did I decide there? I was going the lighter. I would not mind if I did a bit of weaving. I don't have any fabrics here with me that are in these tones to sort of cut bits of fabric out. I did keep back all my ribbons, so that's a definite option. So I'm just going to meander through this flower with this, doing a little bit of split stitch as well as long and short, just to keep it sitting on top of each other, because it's like a slither of paint that the designer has used. So I need to just sort of meander around. Yeah, I think this colour is a definite winner. So I might just grab my little tray, and as you know, that as I sort of figure things out, I tend to create a little work tray just little containers. Slowly one day they'll all be fabric bowls and gorgeous pieces I've created. But at the moment, I've got a few, but just the odd little plastic container still kicking around. I guess as I grow my projects in amongst it, there'll be more bowls and different things pop up. And I love them when they're fabric, of course. It's, you know, really nice. At the moment, they're more storage vessels, like this little guy is a storage for laces. And then, of course, I've got my Japanese rice bags that have got a stiffer side, so in their own integrity they stand. So I rather would love some more of those. But at the moment, you use what you got until you can make it and replace it, if that's something you want to do. There's so many videos out there on fabric bowls. So yeah, I'm sure something will come along. I'm filming this still in March. So I'm yet to see what the Roxy Creations project is. So I might be chattering away here and we're making something along the lines of a bowl. I'm not sure. So maybe my wish will be granted. Who knows? The project's got the overall title of useful, things that are useful. So sort of feel like a bowl would fall into that, but yeah. I could do with 20 bowls. I think that's a definite colour there. So it's the lighter. Let's just use the last of this thread. So I just knot it off again. And I'm just going to work my way through here. I really like using different threads, so don't be afraid to mix wools with DMC, pearl cottons, you know, just mix it up because it's a really lovely way of creating quite an interesting layer. I was thinking about this piece too, and it's that classic quilting fabric, like straight off the roll, modern fabric. So if you think you have to have old fabrics to stitch into, you don't. The main thing is to make sure you reinforce it. It's just got to have a little bit of batting of something, whether it's a upcycled piece of fabric from an old tablecloth or sheeting, anything. You just need that little bit extra support for the actual fabric. This technically is, you know, designed for a dress or a quilt. So to just put that little bit of backing on, highly recommend it, guys. And then once you stitch the layers together, it becomes a really substantial piece to embroider into. So if you're wondering why your fabric that you've started stitching into is wriggling around and scrunching up and just not looking, you know, flat and gorgeous, it's probably because you need some backing fabric, which, like I said, could be a multitude of things. So I'm nearly running out of thread here. I've just jumped across to the next pale orange zone. Okay. Yeah, that's going to work a treat. Let's try the wool. I'm going to pick up the darker one, I think, first. That guy there. And if he doesn't look right, I don't know what I'm going to do. I might have to jump up and grab my DMC cottons. and see what's kicking around in there, because I must say orange is not a colour I pick up a lot, so I really had to scavenge to put this little colour palette together. So I guess if nothing sort of works, we might just have to create our own look. Okay, so that is the end of that little piece of thread. I might just scooch up there, finish that off. So here we go. We are off and racing, starting our next piece. I'll have to work out exactly how many weeks are left for autumn, because as I said in the first video, I didn't even realize that I had drifted. We're definitely happy with that. I had drifted into autumn with the summer piece. So I don't know what happened there. I think Christmas and just busy girl and off to Ballarat, and I don't know, just got away on me. Plus, you know, I was thoroughly enjoying it. So I was like, oh, I'll do that next. Oh, I'll do that next. And then suddenly, I think it was Susanna said, you know, you've crept into the month of autumn with your summer piece. And I'm like, did I? No. And we like, we sat there debating it for about 5 minutes. And she said, I'm telling you, you have gone past, you've gone past the autumn, into autumn. It was really funny. She was cacking herself laughing, thinking, oh, you goose. Doesn't matter. Does not matter. So I'm wondering if I can catch myself back up. Probably, because, you know, once I start sort of figuring out what I'm all doing, there'll be a lot of homework. But we'll see. We'll see. And then we're into the autumn, and then that's it. Technically halfway through. Having said that, I've already spent a month in the wrong season. Oh my goodness. I'm not surprised. I get into these projects and it just becomes very immersive and whatever. If it takes longer, I don't care. It's all about enjoying the process, isn't it? I'm not even on camera, for goodness sakes, girl. This is working beautifully, this colour. I'm very happy with that. Appleton wool, but these skeins, they're not my favourite because they've been cut. So therefore, technically, I think this is a little bit long for me. These are better because I can control the length of which they come out. The longer this wool is, the more of it you're dragging through your layers. And every time you drag it through, you're just roughing it up that little bit more. I can already feel this is starting to break down, so I'm going to cut it, because I would say this will be totally stretched and useless to me if I was to continue. So just because a skein is cut, don't feel like you can't cut it and just have a shorter piece. It's very delicate, the Appleton. The other one I use a little bit of too is the gumnut yarn. That's an Aussie brand. I did hear someone say that they are no longer making the skeins or something. I don't quote me. I'm just not sure. If anyone knows, pop it in the comments, because I'm a bit of a fan of those particular threads. And I was like, oh, that's a shame. And Appleton's would then probably be one of the few out there. Not that I'm regularly in thread shops, so I might be wrong there too. I've got enough threads. That's it. No more buying threads. Use what we've got. And I was squirreling away Sue Spargo threads for 12 months. Got some in New Zealand, and I'm like, nah, just use them, for goodness sakes. Just because they look pretty and they look like lollies. Use them, girl. So this wool is going to do the trick. It's probably not as burnt orange as I would like, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to work it in to the darker areas, and if I come across a more burnt tone of orange, I think I could come back over it, but I think it'll work. Just going to use the last of this little bit of wool, getting right to the end of it now, and it's just little backwards and forwards stitches, nothing too complicated. Keep it simple at this stage anyway. Whether we jump into French knots or colonial knots, or who knows, may the adventure begin. So I hope you're all sitting there stitching, doing something, or are you contemplating stitching? How far do you get through a video in a morning? Let's say you wake up and there's a video sitting there from one of your favorite YouTubers, and you get about 10 minutes in, and then you pause it and you have to go stitch. Does that happen to you guys? It happens to me all the time. I've got so many half-watched videos because I'm like, oh, I've got to go do something now. Where when I start it and it's like, oh, I don't feel like stitching, I'm half asleep, I just want to sit here and watch someone else. And then I'll turn on Martha or Rachel or Christina, like Sonia I say for the evening. Sonia's my relax, my day is done, listen to Sonia. It's like I'm just sitting at the end of her table, just watching and listening, and I don't have to do anything. I find it very relaxing. But the other girls, you lot, oh, I tell you, you just get me all, oh, I'm just out of bed, I feel relaxed and, you know, still sleepy, and then I turn them on and I'm like, right, let's go, I've got to do that too. And then I've got all these half-done videos. Does that happen to you guys, or is it just me? I just want to use this last little bit of wool because, yeah. And then we might explore some yellows, I think. And then I'd say I've got this little tulip completely sorted. Okay. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I like that. Even though it's not as burnt, warm tone, it's actually okay. I thought it might be a bit bright, but I think it'll work. That one, that's very bright. But you never know. Maybe that might be good for putting some outlines on. You know, maybe we've got a, if your flowers are looking a bit muddy, as in, doesn't matter what colours they are, but they're all starting to blend, it might be a case you need to outline the petals. I suspect that might happen with these. See how the artist has put that little line around them all? This one has an orange frame on all of the petals. So I'm going to predict that I too may need to do that. So I guess if you want, you could do that first. If you're worried that with all these stitches, you're going to lose track of where everything is, outline them now and then stitch within the shape, which you never know, I might just do myself. We'll see how we go. Just become unthreaded. Okay. Yep, there's dogs are goosing around. I can hear a lot of cars out the front of the house. I don't know what's going on there. Okay. This is like watching paint dry, isn't it? Absolutely riveting for you guys. All right. I guess before I get too ahead of myself too, I need to have a little look through my ribbons, because maybe this petal here might be beautiful done with ribbon. But does the girl have orange ribbons? And does she have a wave of orange coloured ribbons? Because look, there's mustard in there. There's even pink. And this piece of wool is just going forever. It's going to get right across to that side. Try not to pull your stitches too tight too. You want your work to sit flat. If you're concerned, you can put it into a hoop, which will help keep it nice and flat. But I'm just reminding myself to loosen my fingers a little bit and not be so heavy-handed, you know, not pulling it. I know I've got to give it a little bit of a tug to pop it through the fabric, and I don't want to be doing that too hard, because it's going to start crimping it together and you'll get a bulge. So you want your work to feel like it's, or look like it's flat. So take the pressure off, Corinne. Stop tugging it. So I've got to the end of the dark. Everything else there orange is the Sue Spargo one. Good thing about that one is it's variegated too. So that's going to help give a little bit of movement to my piece. Okay. Yeah, I like that. Look, building it up, building it up. So that's a definite. Which one did we pull threads from? Oh, it was that one. That's the one I just picked up a second ago and pointed out. Look at that. I was already using it, you goose. Okay, we do have quite a bit of yellow, but before I commit to the same, I'm just going to grab my ribbons. Hold the thought, guys. I just want to have a little look at the ribbons. I might just zoom up a little bit. I feel like I'm right up on top of you. Okay. Not that I've lost interest in those. Sorry about that. That was a clang. I just want to have a little look. Look at that colour stream. It's pretty, isn't it? Oh, I've been looking for you for a while. What else have we got in here? So there's a little bit of this guy. I want a brighter tone. A little bit of him. Not much, but I might be able to use up some scraps. There's only 2 flowers, so it's not like I've got to commit to a large area of what have we got here? Is that another colour stream? Good. Oh, it's variegated. Ooh. Oh no, 2 pieces. Oh, here's a little piece. That's what it is. A tiny little scrap left, and that was a variegated green. All right, well, I'm happy with that. Now, these are from Silk Studio. These are some of the very first ones I bought, and you get like a little bundle of colours, and then you can break them all out. And see, there's that one there would work break them all out, wind them on, and then you're set. And I've got some thicker ones. I don't think I'll need those. We'll see how we go. Oh, clang, bang. I'm interested in using this couple scraps, to be honest, because, you know, they're precious. I've got to save them. Is that silly? I might turn my iron on too, because if I have the opportunity, and I should always just iron the ribbon before you use it, because some of these ribbons have really good memories of their creases, and you just can't get it out unless you apply a little bit of heat. So we might just iron these little guys, and then if I use them, I'll put that one away for the moment, but in the stash. Let's get the little iron up here and just give them a little. You can use, which I thought was genius when I saw it, you can use a hair straightener, and I didn't know that you can get these itty bitty ones, something you'd think was suitable for a doll and for your kit if you're doing, you know, traveling or a retreat or something. It's just perfect. I didn't even know they exist, but hey, I'm not a girl that hangs around in establishments that sell makeup, beauty products and all of that. Oh, hello. Look at that. I jiggered it. What temperature have I got on? Oh, maximum. Good one. Well, let's just turn that down. But there you go. Watch the temperature of your iron. You know, I don't even mind that. Look at that. That's that's actually made that quite an interesting little. It's interesting. I wonder if I can iron it flat. We've jiggered it potentially. Let's see if I can return her. To something useful, or is it completely crinkled? That's a bit of a shame, but that's, oh, don't do it again. Look, I know yous are all yelling at the screen going, just stop, girl. But you can't. She's going to have another go at ruining her piece of silk. So we keep going, or should I stop? I can't hear you. Oh, the iron's losing a bit of heat, so it's all good. Oops, come on, just a little touch. And touch the ribbon, not me. There we go. All right. Now we're going to need a crewel needle with a nice eye on it so that the ribbon, that's pretty good, the ribbon can go through nicely. And after all that, will it even work? Yeah, I think it will. That one's going to be the one. Now, this is all I have of it, so I'm going to cut it in half, because I want to make sure I've got a skerrick of it left for over there. When you've got scraps of things, you've really got to be mindful of how far it goes. So that piece cannot be used on this tulip. I'm going to just use what I've got. Now I'm just going to do what they call a soft knot. Let's go. Now, where are we going to put it? I think it'd be a bit lost up this end. I think it's got to be part of the building of the actual tulip. So I'm going to lay it down here, and and I'm hoping I can leave the darker orange for me to come back to just pop a few little stitches in between all these ribbons, just to create a bit of light and shade. Come on, don't muck around, just twisted. Good one. There we go. Try not to pull your ribbon too hard. Take your time with it because you want it to sit nicely. I might actually, this one, pierce through it just to make sure I've got a nice point. Okay, plenty of ribbon left. I might go this way. I was going to go out here, but I want to make sure I get plenty in around this area before I run out and be like, oh, it's all on one side and I didn't get a nice little feature through the center of this little tulip. So I'm going to play it safe. See how there's a white patch there? I'm thinking I have a rummage for a creamy white ribbon and come in there and stitch. And even see that mustardy tone at the top of my ribbon? I wonder if I've got a dirtier yellow. I'm going to go over that mustard a bit because I just feel like I could bring in a little bit more of that ribbon. I might just pierce it to really hold it. If you feel like it's twisting a bit, this sort of just gets it back into your position you want. All right, now I've definitely got what I wanted out of that and I've got spare. So I'm going to try and get myself over to there. I'll just slither through the wadding. There's no use cutting it, it's only a short distance. Now this up here, if I come up there, this is gonna work really well, I think. Do I do one big stitch or do I work my way up there? How's that one stitch look, or how's a little stitch? I think it needs to be a little stitch. And then I think I need to come up again, up a little bit from it. If you find that your ribbon is just not sliding like it should through, you're probably piercing some ribbon that's below. So just stop and have a little look, because I'd rather you stop and take a moment and fix a problem before you're suddenly to the point where you feel like you need to bring pliers out to pull your ribbon through. See how it's twisted? Just going to stop a moment. So I felt like it was going to twist. I'm just going to get that straight. Okay, I think I can get one more little stitch in there. And I can drift all of that orange, dark orange back. Don't twist. I think it's just about had enough of me. It's like, that's enough, girl. There we go. Just a little sprinkling of the ribbon. Good, I've got spare. That's great. So I'm going to end that off just with a soft knot. That'll hold. It's not a piece of fabric that's going on to clothing, and you've got to be very, very mindful. before we go any further, let's see if we've got something that could sneak into there. Yeah, look at this. I like it. Just a little piece. Probably cut too much off because there's not a lot of white on that, but it might end up being a colour elsewhere, or even on the bird's chest. You just never know. It'll just be in amongst the scraps. I don't mind it when colours drift from somewhere to another place, even if it's on a completely different item, because it sort of connects your picture a little. It's like they've used tones of that orange which are in those tulips. So sort of, this one isn't as crinkled. Should I take the risk of giving it a little line? You're yelling at the screen again. No, don't do it, girl. That's all good. We're good. Okay. So we're aiming for a little bit of light popping around the base of this tulip, like this little guy here. There we go. Oh, I like that. We're going to go just across a little bit for the second stitch, and then I can come back for the third stitch, which will colour that space in nicely. And I want it to be a little bit longer, this stitch, so it looks like it's, you know, light has got sharp little corners as it moves through darker spaces. Yeah, like that. Then we might just have a play with a little bit more up through here. Into there. Oh, now the girl's gotta go on, doesn't she? Just trying to keep them similar sizes because they're not needing to cover great distance. They're just sort of flitting around like light does. I will need to look into putting an outline because I do feel like I have muddied the edge of the petal. Like, I know it's there, but I think I'm going to use a little bit more and try and do a couple more little stitches of this white ribbon up in here. Even if it doesn't make it all the way, it won't matter because we've got a little ridge. Because the petal would be curved, there'd be just that edge or that curved shape that would have that little bit of light on it. So I can see what the artist was trying to do there. This is just so good as a technique to have a good look at how an artist has created something. And by you coming along and colouring it in with threads and stitches, it's nice and slow. You've got to look at your piece. You've got to try and work out why are they doing those strokes of colour. Now, technically, I probably should have done the mustard first and then come back with this as it's the highlight. You know, when you draw an eye or you've seen an eye drawn, they always come back and put the little touch of white in the glint. I should have probably, and this is what I'm going to call the glint of this flower, I should probably have done the mustard first. But because it's slow stitch and not paint, I think I can slither my needle in amongst these little stitches to, you know, make it look like that mustard was there. So I'm not too concerned. It's very forgiving, this slow stitching. I'm getting very low, but that's okay. I'm going to just continue the line until I run out and put that little smudge of white through there. I probably will come up short within a couple stitches, so I might just space myself a little bit. I could get another piece of ribbon, but it's all good. One more stitch. Just go down there. If I can get that stitch, I think that will suffice. Yeah. See how it's just like a ridge of light through there? Very clever, whoever the artist was on this. Okay, let's see if I can get back through there with that. And then I know it's really secure. Yep. I still have some darker tones there, so we'll see. The other tulip looks like it's tucked in behind, like it's sitting underneath this leaf. It's behind that flower, and there's even shadow being casted. So white is not an issue on that guy. If anything, he's going to be quite moody and dark. Let's have a play with getting ourselves an outline. I need to grab my threads that are in my big container. Hang on, guys. Okay, I'm looking for something that can build back in the outline. I'm hoping there's something here that can do that for us. Okay, so we need it to stand out, and it's got to compete with this. That's pretty good, but when that lays on there, do you see it? Yeah, just. I think I need to go bolder, like. I keep drawing, my eye keeps going to all these browns, but that's not bad. I didn't really want to do brown. I want to really explore orange because I never really play with orange. Let's have a little go. Pumpkin, that's called. Well, if that's not autumn. So let's have a little look. We've got a couple options. We could couch it in and find a thread to... What's going on here? So I was watching a TikTok video, and they're saying if your needle won't thread, turn it over and try the other side, because there's a smoother side than the other because of the way they punch the hole in the needle. So one side always is a little bit smoother than the other. I was like, that's an interesting little morsel. So I'm going to start down at the bottom of this flower and head up and get this petal edged in. So we've got a couple options. We can lay the thread down to get nice curves and couch. Where's that cotton? This little guy. Because the reason I'm thinking along that line is when I couch threads down, I can get really good curves. When I stitch them down, you sort of have to do, you don't have to, you can do whatever you want, but my go-to stitch would be split back stitch, so that at least you don't see the hole that your needle comes up through on the fabric. But if I couch it, I can get a nice free form. And you know, tulips to me have that real curve about their petal. So I'm thinking I need to think about curves. And if I come back after a petal is stitched, I can then lay this in nicely without it disappearing behind anything bulky that I've used to create the flower in the first place, like ribbon. And let's say I get a little bit adventurous and I start using maybe some lace somewhere. Be nice to have those red tulips a little bit dimensional. Maybe I can match in a lace. Ooh, what about we have a go at using Inktense pencils or something on some lace? Gosh, there's a brain idea. Don't hold me to it. I may have forgotten it within a week. See how I can get a nice curve? Yes, I'm liking this. Move the hot iron out of the way before there's a burn. Yeah, this is good, this is good. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we've got to have that curve. They're tulips. They very much look like that. Look at the time, 51 minutes, for goodness sakes. I thought I've only been going about 20 minutes, but no. If I keep my stitching light-handed, it won't pull it down too much, and I can keep it up and above potentially any thick elements that a flower becomes, like, you know, adding a lace or a ribbon. There's a tiny little white flower tucked in there. We'll deal with him another day. This too is going to allow me to adjust the design if I feel like I need to. Let's say I decide that that petal needs to be there and then a new petal comes out, which I'm thinking along the lines. I might finish that guy there. Yeah, I think I will. Down into that valley, I'm going to take this. Just it's a bit tricky when you've got two needles rolling. But just take your time. So I'm going to put that guy there. Then I'm going to bring up my needle down here and just see if I bring that through there again, it'll look like that petal, yeah, that'll work, is sitting over that other. So let me just, before I get too far ahead of myself, I need to secure with my little, this is just sewing machine cotton. I love this colour because it just blends with everything. It's not stark like using you know, a beige, which is my go-to thread. Grey's another one. So they're always just hanging around because they tend to blend, which is what you want. But there's no reason why you can't also make a feature of this stitch that's holding everything down too. Say you're doing candy stripes, well then red thread and white thread would quickly get you a candy stripe. So you can see where I've jumped down to there. So I'm just ending this little guy off. And I'm going to come back down the bottom here, get myself started, and then just have a play with the shape there. And very carefully stitch that in. So there's your rule. If you've got lots of curves, it's not a rule, it's my rule I give myself. Corinne, if you've got lots of curves, on an outline or words, let's say it's very cursive script, consider using couching as a technique to form shape. Yep. I love it. So my theory before of stitching your outline first and then filling in this case, I'm not going to do that because now I can make sure that my outline sits exactly where I want it and is sort of on top of everything, being that I've used ribbon, so it's got quite bulky. And see that white, I need that white stitch to be part of this petal. So therefore I've been able to take my orange thread around it to make sure that we are definitely in there. Now I'm going to stop what I'm doing here because I haven't stitched the mustard in yet, and I'm concerned if I go too much further I'll have my outline in and then I'll be fighting against it when I want it to be the icing on the cake, so to speak. So I need to just get that up out of the way. And then go back to, you know, getting my stitches in. Oh, let me bring it up to the camera. You can see how there's the petal in behind. That will continue around. So that darker stitching will appear like it's just dropped down into the throat of the flower. I'll then start working some of those lines that the artist has put in to try and build up the back of that tulip. But this will be a big front petal. Gets a bit messy in behind there, but I'd say we'll still be able to form a shape in under there. Yeah, I think it'll really help this flower to pop. And this little guy here, I'll need to be mindful of its bottom. See how that's there, then that's out there, and then there's another one in there. We're looking up under that tulip. So that orange thread really needs to be mindful of that. I might even take a photo of that before I get too carried away, because I could potentially lose that effect of that roundness to that flower. Yeah, I'd say I will. I'll take a shot of it before I proceed any further. Well, I think we've got a bit of a plan of attack. And yeah, and see how it could get messy really easily. We're going to need outlines. You imagine this, it'd just be, yeah, one hell of a mess without outlines. So something to be mindful. These are going to be really tricky, really tricky. Very good. All right, guys, what's the time? Oh, look at that. I'm going to leave it at that. I will put all of those morsels in there because they are definite. I will need the cotton, I will need that. I do need to explore mustard, which I'm thinking will be that, and maybe a pale lemon, which is going to be that. The rest of these little guys at this stage I think are excess. Let's just not confuse things. All right, well, I will toddle off and do my tulips, and I'll see you in the next video. Catch you next week when we pick the piece back up and plan our next adventure. All right, guys, look after yourselves and have a great day. Bye.